So personally, before I go shooting, I grab a piece of paper and a pen and I write down some shot ideas. I don't go by the shot ideas all the time, but I do like a list where I go... Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, today we're going to be talking about how to spice up your films or your cinematic b-roll sequences in order to allow your audience to really bond with the narrative, or allow them to bond with the characters or with whatever is happening on the screen. So recently my friend Alex, she created her first ever cinematic sequence and she uploaded it onto YouTube. If you want to check it out, a link will be down in the description below. But she asked me, she was like, hey, could you please have a look and just give me some constructive criticism on what I did right, what I did wrong, what are the pros, what are the cons, what could I improve for the next upcoming cinematic sequence. So she's going to be making some more cinematic sequences, so if you do want to check it out, please do so and subscribe to her channel. So I've actually watched it earlier on today. I did like a little list on what she did really well and then what she could have possibly improved in order to add that extra oomph to the overall project. So at the beginning of this whole cinematic sequence, first things first, I love the music. The music really fits the theme. Some of the shots really sort of break it up a little bit, which I feel are unnecessary, but we'll talk about that in a second. So first things first, wide shot. Always start off with some sort of an introduction shot. This could be a wide shot. This could be a close-up of the name of the location. You know, it could be a road sign. It could be a sign like showing like the city name, whatever. So she started off with a wide shot. That's amazing. But then afterwards, it sort of starts cutting straight away, which in some cases when you're doing cinematic sequences, this is okay, but this is a slow paced piece of music, which I personally feel it could have benefited with probably having a one individual or two individuals walking up to that carousel thing. So I'm editing this video at the moment and I've realized that I've been calling this a carousel even though it's called gyroplanes. For sure my Polish just is coming through. And then afterwards following up with another shot, which I can see a really nice texting on the carousel on the wide shot, but there's no close-up of that. There could have been like some sort of a close-up, like paying attention to the detail, possibly shooting through some objects such as the change, you know, framing things within the frame rather than sitting back in the wide shots. Close-ups are really powerful. I'm not saying do everything in a close-up, because if you do everything in a close-up, it really breaks that power and this effectiveness. Do a nice balance between close-ups and wide shots. So start off with the wide shot to introduce, wide shot to encourage the movement towards the carousel, and then the extra details such as, for example, the sign idea where there was that little text thing. Do that in the close-up, or do it in like a long shot close-up sort of starter shot, so it's from sort of far away, so in a sense that there's things in front of it, so it's from far away, but because it's at such a focal length, those things that are in the way that are cluttering the frame could possibly actually just transform it into a subconscious close-up, so like framing things within the frame. So a great example would be, for example, having a chain coming down here where this line is and a chain coming down here where this line is. So this is still like a long shot, so it's from far away showing the text or whatever, but or for example me at this moment of time, but it really acts as a close-up long shot, so you're framing things in the frame. It's a long shot, but your framing is actually in between those lines. So I feel like that cinematic sequence would have benefited from that. So there's also this shot where Alex is holding the camera out with her hands and there is this person at the back clipping her little protective thing, seatbelt metal thing together. Even though she shot that, she could have thought about it later on, like as soon as she finished the ride, she could have gone off and just did a quick close-up of it shutting, just not even showing the person, just showing the little latch clutching, like shutting together, and then in post she could have overlaid it from whenever the wide shot occurred and then did like this little zooming effect or something. Being a bit more creative, breaking things up, and it would have really introduced the audience towards the narrative rather than saying, oh okay, I can see that person in the background putting on that little metal seatbelt thing on, but there's no really interaction. There's no like bondage, whereas within the close-up, the close-ups are really powerful and it would have bonded this whole thing together, would have rounded it up, and then it would have gone back to the wide shots, how it is when the carousel was spinning and stuff. And also while the carousel was spinning, even though there's shots like where she's constantly holding out the camera backwards and forwards and all around, which does break the 180-degree rule, but at the same time the thing is spinning, so it's a great way of breaking the 180-degree rule. I really love the idea of being able to do that without it looking really dodgy. It really worked out really well, and a big props to that, because personally I wouldn't think of that. I would be like constantly like, oh, this is breaking the rule, this is not gonna look nice, but it actually looked nice on the cuts. But what she could have done is personally within the wide shot possibly grab the little chain thing with her hand, and then later when the carousel stopped she could have just quickly grabbed the close-up. You know, it's a 2-second close-up, no one's gonna notice that the carousel isn't moving in that specific moment. One thing that personally distracted me from this B-roll sequence is the back and forth movement. I feel that like when it went back in time, you know, when the carousel went back and forth, that was really distracting. I feel like it just could have carried on spinning or something. It sort of indicates that there was a slight lack of shots or potentially lack of footage within the edit, and it was just like filler shots just to milk it out a little bit. I feel like the B-roll should have just maybe made just a tiny bit shorter and have that specific bit actually cut away from the B-roll, or like have some sort of a transition to another shot. And also the attention to detail, color corrections. I really love the color correction on that. At some points it does change, which I'm not a big fan of that, because I personally feel like consistency within color corrections should actually stay consistent throughout the whole project. Only if there's a sudden change in narrative, then you can use the change in color grading and color correction in order to indicate that sudden change or that sudden plot twist or whatever is happening. But what works really well is that that carousel has this really sort of urban style feel, and those really vibrant colors, and especially like there's this really weird VHS sort of effect-ish, sort of grainy effects on the video as well in some points, and I feel that works really well. I'm not sure if it's throughout the whole video. I feel like it loses its touch at some points and it comes back in at some times, but I feel like that really works well, especially with the whole sort of urban feel of the whole video context, with the carousel being super old. And it does feel like it does engage the audience through those vibrant colors, but at the same time it drags them away as everything is observed from wider shots or longer shots, rather than bringing the attention in it to the details. So the basic outline of today's video is the attention of details. You really have to go in to other shots, and even if it means they have to redo shots later on in the day, or even at home back in the studio, whatever, you can actually do that. I feel like Alex did a really good job, because she really concentrated on wide shots on some of the details, but she missed a little bit, which I feel would have been sorted out if she planned out the shoot. So personally, me, before I go shooting, I grab a piece of paper and a pen and I write down some shot ideas. I don't go by the shot ideas all the time, but I do like a list where I go, hey, I really need a wide shot of something, a close-up, a medium close-up, and an extreme close-up. They're the 4 shots I tend to follow, and I do one action and then I'm like, hey, okay, this occurred on this frame and stuff like that. This action occurred within this moment of time. Let's try redoing that as a close-up. Let's try redoing that as a extreme close-up, and then later on in the edit you have more coverage shots to choose from. But instead of me rambling on, I'm gonna end this video here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like. If you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. What I'm gonna be trying to do on this channel is bring as much value as possible to you guys by trying to teach you guys how to really add an extra oomph to your films, to your cinematic sequences. And it also allows me to learn a lot, because sometimes some of the tips I give or some of the things I do are wrong, and you guys really pick out on it and are like, hey, okay, this was a great idea but it didn't really work out, maybe you should try this. And I try it out and I'm like, hey, you know what, this is amazing. And then I share it with you guys. I'm like, hey, you know what, I was actually wrong about this thing. You guys recommended this specific thing and it worked. But I'm blabbling a little bit too much right now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everybody, and bye bye.